Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gripe, the show where I do short, sweet movie reviews of new release movies, plus the one thing that annoyed me the most. Today I'm going to be talking about Eddie the Eagle, and if you're one of the 15 people who saw this movie, you probably enjoyed it a little bit. Eddie the Eagle is about a man who, basically, when he was a little boy, this is kind of the plot of the movie, it's a little boy who basically had some issues with, his spine and his legs, and so he had to wear braces, leg braces and stuff like that. And when he was in these braces as a kid, he got a book for the Olympics from the 1972 Olympics, I think it was. And he was so obsessed with this book that it became his dream to overcome his, disabilities and make it to the Olympics. And so as a kid, he tried to do everything he could to, make it to the he wanted to be an Olympian so badly. He tried everything, high jumping, hurdling, running, all this, but he was terrible at everything. Just absolutely horrible. And then when, it seemed like, running and doing all the summer Olympic sports wasn't going to pan out, he decided, well, why not try Winter Olympics? And so he took up skiing, basically, and thought, well, maybe skiing will be the thing that'll get me to the Olympics. But as he grew up, it turned out that he still wasn't very good, and so they kicked him off the Olympic team. So his dream of making it to the Olympics seems like, he's constantly fighting this. His father is trying to tell him, be realistic, do plaster. Plaster is a good, honest business. So, focus on that. Focus on a trade. Learn something so that you're not useless. But, Eddie, he dreams big. This is who he is. And ultimately, he learns about ski jumping. So he decides to go to Germany and become a ski jumper. And, of course, the first ski jump he does, he lands it and is like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this, so I'll just move right up to the next level. And, of course, as soon as he does that, he just complete faceplant on that. And he learns very quickly that, he has a lot to overcome if he actually wants to make it to the Olympics in this sport. But since Great Britain doesn't have a ski jumper, he feels like, he just has to be able to qualify and he can be on the Olympic team. And as he's continually trying to do this, there's an American in Germany who works at this, ski slope who kind of has a shady past. He's a little bit of a shady character played by Hugh Jackman. And he gives him some tips and, kind of just is trying to push him away from doing ski jumping, but at the same time kind of giving him a little bit more reason to continue doing it. And so ultimately, he doesn't become his coach per se, but he does start to train him and teach him the basics of ski jumping so that at the very least he can qualify for the Olympics and perhaps even make it, beyond, actually do something in the Olympics. Obviously, for everybody who's in this competition, they've been ski jumping since they were little. And so for somebody to come in at 18 or 19, probably not, the smartest plan. But obviously, again, nothing is going to stop Eddie from, achieving his dream. And so between Eddie and Hugh Jackman's character, they really do push to be able to get to basically do a qualifying match for the Olympics. And all the while, the British Olympic team is trying to kind of push Eddie away. They really don't want him to be part of their, Olympic team. And so they continue to, they change the rules to say, well, you had a qualifying jump, but now you have to go 3 times as far in order to actually go to the Olympics. And, the story, continues to build until ultimately Eddie does, spoiler alert, he makes it to the Olympics and in Calgary in 1988. And when he's there, he basically becomes kind of like a sensation in a way that, he definitely doesn't qualify for any of the medals, doesn't even come close. But the fact that he does, the longest jump in British history, a personal best, he's very, excited and pumped up about it. And so, he kind of, milks it a little bit and gets a little bit of sympathy from, the people of here's a guy who obviously is not going to win a gold. He's not out there to, be the champion, but he's out there proving that, anybody can do this, which is what the spirit of the Olympics is supposed to be. That's kind of how they start the movie is, the spirit of the Olympics is that anybody can be an Olympian. It's not the professionals that they want being Olympians. They want the regular people, the miracle on ice kind of people. They want, those are the people who should be trying at the Olympics. And so he kind of gets that sensation, but at the same time, people are looking at him like he's just a sideshow. It's like he made it there, he's having fun, but he really hasn't really proved anything. He just has proved that he can be an attraction of any, basically that's what he is. And so he decides to do the high jump, basically it's the I think 70-meter jump, which is, he's never done it in his life. It's by far the most dangerous of anything he's done. But he says, I didn't come here to just, do my jump and go home. I came here to prove myself. And so he decides to do this long jump, which it could kill him if he doesn't do it right. And, ultimately he does it, and he gets the support, he gets the respect for doing it. And even though he doesn't even come close to qualifying for a medal, the fact that he does it and, that he achieves this dream, just, it's a movie about, that never say die kind of spirit. That's what a lot of sports movies are about. And this one is certainly high on the list of, the never say die when you actually have absolutely no hope of success. It's as some people have called it, it's a movie about participation, and we a lot of times decry the idea of participation in sports. It's like everybody gets a trophy, which, there's some value to the argument against everybody getting a trophy. It's like you have to earn a trophy, but what this movie shows is that when you work hard and you continue to push your own boundaries and continue to push your own limits, then you deserve some recognition. It might not be a trophy, it might not be a medal, but just the fact that you tried to achieve something. It's not the same as somebody who tries and gives up right away. Somebody who continues to just push and has that determined spirit. That's what this movie is about. It's about that spirit of, determination and, the will to succeed. Even if the ability is not there, the will certainly is. And so Eddie the Eagle, I haven't even said who's it played by. It's played by Taron Egerton, who the only movie I know him from was from the Kingsman. That's the only other movie I've seen him in. So I don't have a whole lot of background on who he is as an actor, but he obviously did a really good job here playing Eddie, who's very awkward, very weird kind of person, but certainly determined in a very strong way. Hugh Jackman, it's good to see him in a role that isn't Wolverine. I just got to say that out loud. But also, a role that kind of, gets, it really does touch on all his strengths. He's a good, solid, dramatic actor. He's good at playing kind of the tough guy with, a little like soft side, but also a sarcastic guy. It's almost like he is Wolverine in this movie, but he's, much more approachable, I would say, than Wolverine would be, because he's not out there to like beat people up. He's very, he obviously has some issues that he's dealing with, and throughout the movie he kind of focuses on those, and he's got his own demons that he's fighting. That he could have been a champion, he could have been this great ski jumper in his own time, but he chose a different route. He chose basically not to respect the sport. It was about the spectacle and not the sport, and that's why, when he sees Eddie, he really just doesn't have a lot of hope for him, but he ultimately sees that determination, and it kind of reminds him that, once upon a time, he was this great person too. So he does a really good job in that role. The two of them together, they definitely nail it. Because, the movie is pretty much them. It's those two. There's not a huge supporting cast for this movie. Jim Broadbent shows up in as a role as a broadcaster, basically. The guy who plays the Norwegian team coach, very big, like muscular kind of Norwegian. He does a pretty good job too of kind of this like foil to Hugh Jackman's character, but also he's that you think of him almost as a villain, but he's not, because he's just he understands that this is not a sport that people can just walk into and do well. but he recognizes the determination, he recognizes, what Eddie is trying to achieve, and he appreciates that. And then you have Christopher Walken showing up in kind of a Christopher Walken-esque role. So, I mean, it's definitely a cliched movie. Like, from start to finish, it is wall-to-wall cliches. In fact, going into the movie, I kind of jested, this is Cool Runnings with Wolverine. And truth be told, I was not wrong. Because it almost is the exact same plot as Cool Runnings. It's scary, almost. But you got to give, Dexter Fletcher, who... this is, I believe, his directorial debut. Dexter Fletcher, he's been in a few Guy Ritchie movies. He was in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is where I know him from best. But I'd say he did a pretty good job, given that he's working with a very cliched story. Something that I wouldn't say is, breaks any new ground. It's just, is another one of those, like, feel-good, inspirational type of stories that, are good. I'm not going to say cliches are bad. I'm just going to say that it's... what's going to happen. There's really no mystery to the story. That how it's going to end. It's not going to end with Eddie winning the gold and, winning the Olympics. It's going to be him, coming up well short, but that's not the point. The point is that they tried, that they worked at it, It even has the conflict between him and his father, just like in Cool Runnings. It's like I said, it is Cool Runnings, but with fewer main characters and no bobsled, although they do make reference to Cool Runnings in this movie because it was the same Olympics. Pretty awesome. But the cliche is not my key gripe. My key gripe is actually something a little bit simpler. And there's one character in this movie that just bugged the hell out of me. And I know it was purposely that way, that you really did not like this character. But I think what bugged me about it was not so much that he was an annoying character. It was that... So, this movie is a comedy. It's a true story. It's based on a true story. It's a sports movie. It's inspirational. There is drama in it. But it's meant to also be a lighthearted comedy. You're supposed to go in and enjoy it. But there's one character that just seems less of a character that you would find in a kind of a biographical comedy and more one you'd find in, like, a college... he's almost like Dean Werner from Animal House. He's got just that kind of, like... he's the straight character who doesn't just, doesn't fit into the wackiness, and that actually kind of makes him funnier. Only in this movie, it doesn't. He actually, I think, hurts the movie because it creates an antagonist. The character's name is Dustin Target, and the actor is Tim McInnery. And I'm not saying he did a bad job, because actually he did a good job, but I think the character itself just did not seem to fit right into this movie. The whole thing, it's like he has this personal rivalry with Eddie, and you don't know why. It's like, why do you not like this guy? And he explains it briefly in the movie, but it still doesn't feel like a legitimate excuse, and his character just bothered me the entire movie that he was in. It's always like, oh, let's try to do everything we can to make Eddie's life worse. But, certainly not the greatest character and not a great antagonist, but, I'll give the guy credit at least for playing that role well, even if I didn't think it was. I think it kind of fell short of what the movie was trying to achieve overall. It just didn't seem to fit right into that. But the movie overall is very entertaining, uplifting, exciting, good, debut for Dexter Fletcher, and a good change of pace for Taron Egerton, who obviously doesn't... none of us want him to get typecast into just the Kingsman role that he was. This is very different from that role, and I thought he did a great job with it. So I would give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. So pretty good. Nothing spectacular. Certainly an enjoyable movie. Fun, and that's what you kind of hope for in a movie like this. So that is my review of Eddie the Eagle, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.